Here is the recap of the Season 1 of Rick and Morty. Let's first get familiar with the main characters. Rick Sanchez is an eccentric inventor who once created a portal gun that can move a person to other dimensions and in space for an unlimited distance. Rick has been away somewhere for 20 years and has only recently returned to his family. His daughter Beth, who works as an equine heart surgeon, is very happy about this as she missed her father. But Jerry, her husband, who does not have a high enough intelligence and strong character, dislikes the old man and believes that he has a bad influence on their son Morty, as Rick constantly takes him on his adventures in other universes and thus prevents him from studying at school. The Smith family also has a daughter named Summer, who as a teenager didn't care about anything. In the first episode, despite the boy's parents' prohibition, Rick continues to take his grandson around the different universes and even drags him into a rather dangerous activity of harvesting megaseeds that can enhance human mental abilities. During their journey, the portal gun runs out of charge and they have to fight their way through an interdimensional border. Back home, Beth and Jerry want to chase Rick out of the house, as Principal Vagina tells them that Morty has been absent from school all semester. However, because the boy was carrying megaseeds in his anus during the trip, his mental abilities briefly increased and his parents decide that Morty got smarter just by being around his grandfather, which is not really true. Morty continues to have learning problems and Rick comes up with an idea to help him, in his own way of course. He decides, as in the movie Inception, to introduce the idea to a teacher named Goldenfold to give his grandson only A's, and together with Morty goes into the teacher's dream, several times diving deeper and deeper into his mind. Eventually, they manage to introduce the idea to Goldenfold, and they return home. There they discover that their dog named Snuffles has gained consciousness and is trying to take over the world. As at the very beginning of the series, Jerry asked Rick to create a device to make their dog smarter, but things got out of hand. Rick again infiltrates the dream, but this time into Snuffles' mind and implants the idea in him to give up taking over the world. The intelligent dogs leave the protagonist's universe and create their own dog society somewhere. On Christmas Day, Jerry discovers that his parents have a lover, but by the end of the episode, he has come to terms with it. Meanwhile, Rick sends Morty inside a homeless man in a Santa suit where he has built an amusement park. Things don't go according to plan, and to get his grandson out and make him the same size, Rick has to take the homeless man into the planet's orbit, make him the size of America, and blow him up. The protagonists are kidnapped by a race of Zygerians, whose goal is to get the recipe for concentrated black matter from Rick. They lock them in a simulation and mess with their heads, but Rick manages to fool everyone and destroy the alien ship. Morty gets tired of Rick's crazy adventures and asks his grandfather to choose his own journey. They go to the fantasy world, but everything goes not according to the boy's plan. His adventure becomes not pleasant at all, and the boy agrees with his grandfather that the universe is not so pleasant as he imagined it. Meanwhile, at home, the rest of the family tries to solve their personal problems with the help of a box of Myzixes that Rick gave them. But things don't go well here either. Myzixes can be given very simple orders, and the purpose of their life is to fulfill these orders, after which they disappear. But because Jerry is very stupid, the Blue Men cannot fulfill his request. Morty asks his grandfather to create a potion that will make his classmate Jessica fall in love with him, but because the girl had the flu, the effect of the potion spreads to everyone on the planet except Morty's blood relatives. Rick tries to fix everything, but in the end makes it worse and turns all the people into Cronenbergs. The old man comes to mind the only way out of the situation. He finds an identical universe where they still manage to save humanity, but Rick and Morty accidentally die and our protagonists take their place, burying the corpses in the garden. Meanwhile, in the original universe, Jerry, Beth and Summer are the only non-mutated people left and continue to live happily in a post-apocalyptic world. Morty finds himself a sex robot from which an alien is born. The alien quickly becomes an adult and starts eating everything around him, and Morty tries to be a good father to him, which of course does not work out for the boy. Meanwhile, Rick and Summer go to the planet of these aliens and learn that their society is a matriarchy. The men there are thrown into the desert at birth and the population is controlled by those robots. Eventually, Rick and his granddaughter leave the planet, and son Morty leaves the family and becomes a writer. In this episode, Rick and Morty are watching interdimensional television, which shows random programs from all over the universe. Bat, Jerry, and Summer use special VR glasses to watch their alternate copies from other universes, which makes them very upset. But it all ends well. Summer gets a job at the Devil's shop, which sells cursed items. Rick decides to bankrupt him out of boredom and sets up store across the street, where he uses science to remove all the curses from the items. In the end, the Devil becomes rich and ditches Summer. However, Rick and his granddaughter become jocks and beat up the villain. Meanwhile, Jerry tries to help Morty with his school science project and claims Pluto is a planet. The Plutonians kidnap Jerry and begin to idolize him, but after a while his father has to admit that Pluto is not a planet, and they are kicked out. During a family dinner, risks break into the main character's house and arrest our old man. It turns out that there is a whole Citadel in which Ricks and Mortys from all universes are gathered, and it is ruled by a certain council. The protagonist is accused that someone started to kill Ricks across the universe, and the main suspect is him. The old man escapes and finds the person behind it, namely Rick with a scar. The one has created a huge dome surrounded by suffering Mortys. We learn that Rick is dragging Morty along with him because his stupidity equals his grandfather's genius, and he's almost untraceable. An entire dome of suffering Mortys helps hide Rick from every creature in the universe. Our Morty frees the kids, and together with his grandfather, they kill Rick with the scar. But it turns out that this Rick was actually being controlled by his Morty with the bandage, who manages to escape. Also during this time, Jerry befriends stupid Rick, and they have a good time. Beth and Jerry go on a Titanic-themed cruise where Jerry is attacked by an obsessed maid, but Beth saves her husband. Meanwhile, the kids and Rick throw a party where we are introduced to characters like Bird Person, who falls in love with Summer's friend named Tammy, Clockberg, Squanchy, and Adolf Lincoln. In the end, the characters almost destroy their house, and when the angry parents are about to approach the porch, Rick stops time so the kids can clean up. This is the end of the season 1. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching, goodbye!